Researchers say tsunamis in the Great Lakes happen more often than you think.
And are working towards finding ways to forecast them.
Beneath the vast surface of one of the planet's greatest freshwater reservoirs, a disturbance has unsettled scientists and drawn global attention. The Great Lake, known for its immense size and vital role in supporting millions of lives, has shown signs that are both alarming and unprecedented. Deep fissures have been identified across the lakebed, cracks forming in the sediments and rocky layers below, pushing geologists to raise a rare and urgent red alert. The warning is not issued lightly. For decades, researchers have monitored the stability of these inland seas, but such a drastic escalation in official status underscores how severe the current discovery appears. The red alert is a signal not just for nearby residents, but for an international audience who understands how interconnected this lake is and the delicate balance of water systems across the continent. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The cracks themselves are more than geological curiosities. They are markers of potential shifts occurring beneath the lake that could destabilize its foundations. Cracks in a lakebed suggest movement, sometimes minor, the result of natural settling or shifting sediments, but other times they hint at deeper tectonic activity or subterranean pressure changes that can culminate in large-scale geological events. The concern arises from their sheer scale and sudden emergence. These fissures run longer than ordinary sediment fractures and appear in patterns that suggest not random formation but systemic stress acting beneath the lake. The lakebed is not static. It is a dynamic interface shaped by ancient glaciers, fault lines, and modern pressures from human activity. When cracks spread in this setting, scientists are left to question whether they are witnessing the first signs of a larger shift in the region's stability. The Great Lake has long been more than a body of water. It represents a source of drinking water, a channel for trade, and an anchor for communities built along its shoreline. Beneath its calm surface lies a geological history that stretches back thousands of years. Glacial activity carved its basin, tectonic forces shaped its boundaries, and sedimentation layered its floor. For centuries, these processes reached a balance that held the lake in its familiar form. But when geologists suddenly detect fractures deep within the bedrock, the balance appears disturbed. Such a disruption cannot be dismissed as an isolated anomaly. Every fissure tells a story about pressure, movement, and the energy locked within the Earth's crust. When dozens of them emerge in a concentrated time frame, the story shifts to one of mounting tension, a tension that demands to be released in some form. The decision to issue a red alert is not only scientific but also deeply human. Red alerts are reserved for threats that carry imminent risk, and applying this status to a freshwater lake reflects extraordinary concern. It raises questions about how quickly conditions could change, how stable the water mass remains, and whether the lake could experience events ranging from subsidence to seismic tremors beneath its depths. Residents in surrounding towns interpret the warning through the lens of survival. For them, the cracks are not abstract. They represent the possibility of disruption to water supplies, sudden flooding, or ecological collapse. The red alert becomes a call to vigilance, ensuring that local communities remain prepared for outcomes that are difficult to fully predict but too dangerous to ignore. What makes this development particularly striking is the location. The Great Lake region has historically been seen as relatively stable compared to fault-prone zones along coastlines. While the Earth's crust is never truly at rest, the inland setting provided an assumption of security. Geologists could study minor tremors or subsurface shifts without anticipating dramatic upheaval. The cracks challenge that assumption, reminding observers that no place on Earth is immune to sudden geological change. Subsurface faults can awaken, unseen weaknesses can propagate, and stress built over centuries can manifest in mere days. Such reminders carry weight, for they strip away the illusion of permanence that human settlements often adopt. The scale of the lake adds gravity to the issue. This is not a small reservoir tucked into a mountain valley, but a massive inland sea whose shoreline stretches for hundreds of miles. The sheer volume of water it holds makes any disturbance a matter of continental importance. Should the cracks evolve into larger rifts or destabilize sections of the basin, the effects would ripple outward. Water levels could shift, ecosystems depending on delicate balances of depth and temperature could collapse, and industries reliant on shipping lanes might suddenly face impassable conditions. The lake serves as a cornerstone for agriculture, transportation, and biodiversity, and its vulnerability signals cascading risks across sectors. Geologists who examine the cracks focus not just on their appearance, but on their alignment and spread. Patterns within these fissures indicate forces acting in specific directions, perhaps linked to deeper tectonic shifts below. Some align with known fault lines in the region, while others cut across them, raising speculation about hidden fractures in the crust. Instruments detect subtle tremors accompanying their expansion, low-frequency vibrations that suggest energy moving through the Earth in ways not previously observed here. To the untrained eye, the lake remains tranquil, its surface barely hinting at unrest. But beneath that surface, seismic monitors hum with activity, recording data that confirms what the red alert conveys. Something significant is happening. The implications extend beyond immediate safety. Cracks in a lake bed affect the integrity of the entire hydrological system. Water can seep into new cavities, altering flow patterns and pressurizing spaces that were once sealed. This can destabilize surrounding sediments, creating sinkholes or underwater collapses. Furthermore, if gases such as methane or carbon dioxide are trapped beneath, cracks provide pathways for release, potentially triggering sudden outgassing events. In enclosed water bodies, such releases can suffocate aquatic life or cause dangerous surface eruptions. The possibility of chemical changes in the water adds yet another dimension of concern, for a lake of this size sustains intricate food webs that could unravel under rapid shifts. Communities who depend on the Great Lake for water supplies confront the troubling prospect of contamination. Cracks expose deeper layers of sediment that may contain minerals, heavy metals, or other substances long buried. As water interacts with these layers, it can carry contaminants upward, distributing them across wide areas. For treatment facilities, this means increased strain to ensure drinking water remains safe. For fisheries, it introduces uncertainty into the viability of species that require specific conditions to thrive. For the millions of residents who turn on their taps daily, it means trust in the resource may erode alongside the cracks themselves. The cultural significance of the lake cannot be ignored either. For generations, it has been a symbol of continuity, a feature so vast that it seemed beyond the reach of sudden change. Its role in shaping regional identity makes the current red alert feel like a rupture not only in geology but in the collective imagination. Residents who grew up on its shores, who worked its waters, and who watched the horizon stretch endlessly now confront the idea that the ground beneath it is not as steady as once believed. Such revelations spark fear, but also a sobering awareness of humanity's vulnerability in the face of natural forces. Scientific teams in raising the red alert also highlight the limits of human foresight. Despite satellites, sensors, and years of research, the Earth still produces surprises. Cracks in the Great Lake underscore that much of the planet's behavior remains beyond full prediction. What scientists can do is measure, analyze, and warn. By doing so, they aim to minimize the potential for disaster, urging precaution even when the exact outcomes remain unclear. The Red Alert embodies this philosophy. It is not a prophecy but a safeguard, ensuring that society treats the warning signs with the seriousness they deserve. If the cracks represent tectonic unrest, then the broader implications include regional seismicity that has long been underestimated. The Great Lake may sit atop structural weaknesses that, once activated, could trigger quakes strong enough to reshape local geography. Such possibilities push the discussion from environmental management into disaster preparedness. Local governments must contemplate evacuation plans, infrastructure reinforcement, and contingency systems for energy and water. The presence of cracks is the first domino. What follows depends on whether society can adapt swiftly to the unknown. Beyond immediate human concerns, the natural world surrounding the lake stands at a threshold. Wetlands, forests, and rivers connected to this freshwater giant face uncertain futures if instability escalates. Migratory birds rely on its habitats, fish species spawn in its shallows, and plants root themselves along its shores. Cracks in the lakebed alter hydrology, shifting currents and sediment flows that maintain these ecosystems. Even minor changes can ripple outward into cascading ecological consequences. As geologists observe fissures expanding, biologists brace for the unknown, recognizing that survival often depends not on the strength of species, but on the stability of the environment they inhabit. Economically, the red alert signals turbulence. Trade routes crossing the lake's waters are integral to regional and national commerce. If fissures destabilize shipping channels or alter depth profiles, transport efficiency could decline. Industries relying on steady water levels, from energy generation to agriculture irrigation, face increased uncertainty. Insurance markets watch closely, knowing that cracks beneath such a vital resource could redefine risk assessments for entire sectors. The event transforms from geological anomaly to economic stressor, illustrating how closely entwined natural stability and human prosperity truly are. The red alert also stirs global awareness of freshwater vulnerability. In an age where water scarcity dominates discussions, seeing cracks form beneath one of the world's greatest supplies shakes confidence. It reminds observers that no resource, however vast, is impervious to disruption. As climate patterns grow erratic and human demands increase, the stability of freshwater bodies becomes a linchpin for survival. The Great Lake, once viewed as a near-eternal reservoir, now carries the scars of fragility, forcing renewed reflection on how humanity interacts with its most precious resources. The weight of history intensifies the unease. For thousands of years, the Great Lake has been witness to civilizations rising and falling along its shores. Indigenous communities honored its life-giving waters, settlers harnessed its vastness for trade, and modern cities grew in its embrace. Its endurance seems certain. Yet the cracks beneath it whisper that even giants can falter, that beneath apparent calm lies a world of shifting plates and restless energy. The red alert amplifies this whisper into a shout, demanding attention, demanding respect for forces that defy human command. As researchers map the fissures, they encounter questions that extend far beyond geology. What does stability mean in a world where natural systems can fracture overnight? How do societies reliant on perceived permanence adapt to sudden fragility? The cracks challenge assumptions, pressing communities to rethink not just emergency responses, but the deeper relationship between human ambition and natural reality. The red alert becomes both a technical warning and a philosophical marker, urging recognition of limits and humility in the face of the planet's immense power. It is possible that the fissures will stabilize, that monitoring will reveal a leveling off of stress beneath the lake. But while uncertainty remains, the red alert stands. It hangs as a reminder that vigilance cannot lapse, that the cracks themselves, regardless of their outcome, mark a turning point in how the Great Lake is perceived. No longer merely a symbol of abundance, it has become a symbol of vulnerability. And in that shift lies an urgent message about the fragility of the natural systems that sustain human life. The red alert surrounding the Great Lake has set into motion an entirely new chapter of scientific inquiry, and with it comes a wave of speculation about what lies beneath the waters. The cracks are not merely physical phenomena etched into the Earth's crust. They are signposts pointing to unknown processes hidden deep below. For geologists, the discovery forces a re-examination of long-held assumptions about the lake's subsurface geology. Previous studies suggested stability built over millennia, with the basin thought to have settled into equilibrium after the last ice age. The sudden emergence of fractures throws that assumption into question and reveals how little may be truly known about the forces at play beneath such a massive body of freshwater. One of the central questions researchers now face is whether the cracks represent a localized event or part of a much broader geodynamic system. If confined to a small region of the lakebed, their implications, though serious, may be limited. But if they are symptomatic of a larger fault system awakening under pressure, the situation expands far beyond a simple geological curiosity. Earth's crust does not operate in isolation. Stresses can transfer across vast distances, and seemingly minor shifts can cascade into far-reaching consequences. Scientists working to model the cracks therefore focus on mapping their depth and extent, hoping to determine whether they are shallow stress releases or gateways into something much deeper. Seismic imaging has become one of the primary tools for this effort. By sending sound waves through the lakebed and measuring how they bounce back, teams are building three-dimensional models of the fractured zones. Early results indicate that the cracks are not confined to surface sediments, but extend into harder substrata, suggesting forces more powerful than ordinary erosion or sediment slippage are at work. These findings have sparked theories that ancient fault lines buried beneath glacial deposits may have reactivated, driven by stresses building for centuries. If true, then the Great Lake is sitting atop a restless foundation that may continue to shift. The cracks also raise questions about subterranean fluid dynamics. Beneath large lakes, pockets of water and gas can become trapped within layers of rock and sediment. Over time, pressure builds until a pathway allows release. Cracks provide exactly such pathways, creating the possibility that fluids are now migrating upward. Such migration has the potential to destabilize entire sections of the lake bed, weakening its integrity and altering the chemistry of the overlying water. Scientists studying these processes pay special attention to signs of bubbling or discoloration on the lake's surface, as these could indicate gases rising from depth. Any such signs would add another layer of urgency to the alert, since sudden outgassing events in other lakes around the world have proven catastrophic. While much of the focus remains on geological processes, hydrologists also weigh in on the matter. Cracks in a lake bed fundamentally alter how water circulates beneath the surface. Groundwater channels, once sealed, may now open, changing inflows and outflows in ways that ripple through the ecosystem. Altered circulation could disrupt spawning grounds for fish, reshape nutrient cycles, and change temperature patterns critical to the survival of aquatic life. A shift in circulation within a system as massive as the Great Lake is not just a localized ecological problem, it can transform entire food chains across hundreds of miles. For species already under pressure from climate change and invasive organisms, the appearance of cracks adds yet another destabilizing force. The red alert has also cast a shadow over infrastructure projects along the shoreline. Cities and industries built pumping stations, harbors, and treatment facilities based on assumptions of lake stability. Cracks beneath the waterbed now call those assumptions into doubt. Engineers worry that shifts in sediment may undermine piers and underwater pipelines. Water treatment plants must now prepare for sudden influxes of sediment or unexpected chemical variations in the intake. Power plants that rely on the lake for cooling face new risks if currents are disrupted or sediment loads increase. Every aspect of infrastructure that touches the Great Lake must now account for instability that could emerge without warning. Shipping industries find themselves on particularly uncertain ground. Navigation channels carved into the lake bed could be disrupted if fissures trigger collapses or sediment slides. The vast freighters that move goods across the Great Lake rely on predictable depths and unobstructed paths. A collapse along the cracks could create underwater hazards that no vessel is prepared to navigate. The economic ramifications of interrupted shipping are staggering, given the volume of trade passing through these waters. Already, contingency plans are being discussed in case monitoring detects sudden changes in lakebed topography that could compromise shipping lanes. From a scientific perspective, the cracks present a rare opportunity to study geological processes as they unfold in real time. Usually, tectonic shifts and basin changes are studied in hindsight, after the event has already reshaped the land. Here, geologists have the chance to monitor the process as it happens, recording data that may change the understanding of how inland lakes evolve over long timescales. Instruments are being deployed at unprecedented density. Seismographs, pressure sensors, chemical monitors, and underwater drones are now gathering data continuously. Each measurement adds to a growing picture of how stress is building, how sediments respond, and what signals may precede more dramatic ruptures. The urgency of the red alert has accelerated collaboration between institutions across multiple countries, all eager to understand what the Great Lake is revealing. Despite the scientific excitement, the tension is undeniable. Communities living around the lake must live each day under the shadow of uncertainty. Fishermen set out into waters that may conceal unstable fractures, their livelihoods dependent on conditions they can no longer take for granted. Families wonder whether homes near the shoreline may one day face sudden flooding if cracks propagate. Local governments grapple with the challenge of communicating both the seriousness of the red alert and the fact that outcomes remain unknown. For ordinary people, the invisible nature of the cracks makes the situation even more unsettling. Unlike storms or visible disasters, the threat lies hidden beneath the water's calm surface, out of sight but never out of mind. Educational institutions around the lake are beginning to use the situation as a teaching moment, but also about the importance of scientific monitoring, cooperation, and preparedness. The event is reshaping the way a generation perceives the environment around them. Rather than taking the Great Lake for granted, young people are being taught to see it as a living system with vulnerabilities and mysteries still to be uncovered. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on cracks beneath the Great Lakes sparking red alert? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.